Welcome back to Carlo Prusa MMA. I'm Carlo Prusa with a friend of the show, Mr. Torrez, the Punisher Finney. Torrez, it's been a while. We're just talking about it. I don't think we've talked in almost a year. Stay in touch, live it on Instagram, but a lot of big things have happened to you in the last year and a half. Continue to pick up more wins, 7-0 professional fighter. You made it on the Dana White Contender Series, received a big victory there, and now you're fighting on Combat Night in Jacksonville on Saturday, taking on Tyson Jeffries. Overall, are you excited for your fight? Are you looking forward to getting back in the cage?
Yes, man. I'm really excited, man. I'm really excited to get back in the cage. I'm excited to get back to where finally it's been a minute. Finally to getting back into the cage and finally being able to compete again. Because I tell people this is the only sport compared to any other one, obviously like boxing as well, but you don't get a chance to compete as much, like you train so much, but you don't get that opportunity to compete as much as you would like to. So this is one of those things that I'm excited to finally get a chance to get back in the cage and go at it, man. Show my new skill sets I've been working on.
A little bit of a layoff here. I think it's 6 months ago. You were on the Contender about 6 months. Was there a reason for it? Did you just want to take some time off?
No, man, personally, no. I have been through a little bit of a whirlwind. I was actually selected to be on the Ultimate Fighter this upcoming season. Some things I was flown out there, but they had other plans. So, in a way, I was made an alternate. So after that, it took up the first 3 months because they didn't do all that stuff. We went through that whole process, and then you sign, and then we didn't want to do a fight beforehand. I personally wanted to fight. I wanted to fight in February before I went on the show, but obviously, being mindful, risking injury, things of that nature. So we went on and just did the thing all the way through, only for them, they made me an alternate. Then after that, we just tried to find the closest thing we can get. And we hit up Mitch. I know Mitchell Chamal from Fusion XL. So we've had a few conversations. Actually, he was one of the first guys right after Dana White made his decision. Mitch came to me. He was there, and he said, "Hey man, let's get you on the card, man. So let's prove Dana White. You deserve to be back here." So, and he's helped me out really well, man. I thank him very much for giving me this opportunity to fight on Combat Night. So I'm very thankful.
What was that whole experience like auditioning for the Ultimate Fighter? What are some of the things that fighters have to do in that process?
I just think a lot of fighters have to like really expect the to go in and expect to just go in there and fight. Obviously you're treating it like a real fight, but it's very similar to a sparring. Not the fight isn't similar to a sparring session, but the walking out, you pin it on, you just step in the cage and you go. There's not much announcing and all that besides the promo video they do beforehand, but it's more of just go in and you fight. And I actually like that. You know, Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of all those announcements. It's time. Most of the time I'm either in a co-main event or co-main event on card, so I'm having to wait, and they do these long announcements, and I'm like, I've just had a big warm up in the back. I'm ready to go. Now I'm gonna have to sit here for about 5 minutes and listen to this warm up. Like this whole announcement. But besides that, I enjoyed the entire experience, man. I've had opportunities to be with my teammate Trevor Peak behind the scenes on a lot of his experiences. So different, obviously different compared to the UFC to the Dana White Contender Series, but I've been a part of a majority of those experiences, and some of those are very similar to the beat of the same. So I've definitely enjoyed it, and yeah, man, I'm definitely happy and ready to get back.
Now, when you were trying to get on the Ultimate Fighter, the reality show, what are some things you had to do there? Is that rounds of like talking with producers? Like, how do you go by like trying to get on the show?
Well, it's not necessarily rounds with producers. They don't do that anymore. You do that part the first hand before you get on the show. Now it's more of the fact that okay, you as you're going along with the role, you just trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out, who fits the model for that season or who fits the model for um this upcoming, the upcoming season. Like, okay, which is the best way I can match these guys perfectly for, you know, it's about views. So making it the best to put inside the house. And they do their entire thing. And, they just, they went with a different route than I expected. It was an international cast as well. So they They only flew out like 2 US guys, and then obviously they chose the other. So it was really good. I really enjoyed the 1 week experience that I got a chance to have. But overall, I'm excited for the opportunity, for being given the opportunity. So yeah, that's why I'm very excited to fight this fight to get back in there, because I would have never had a 6 month layoff if it wasn't for that. I definitely would have fought in February or March for sure.
So back to the Dana White Contender Series, kind of a bittersweet moment for you. You took on a very tough guy in Yuri. First round, a little slow. Second round, you really turned it on. You're able to pick up the finish. You got a huge win. Obviously, following the fight, Dana White didn't give you the news that you wanted, but it really made me kind of step here and think how young you are. I mean, you're only, I think, about 25, 26 now. It feels like you've been doing this for a long time, and you're only been a pro for about 2 years. Did you have to, after that Dana White telling you that you weren't going to get the contract right away, did you have to sit back and maybe think, hey, man, I've only been doing this for a couple years?
Yeah, and that's the way a lot of my team has looked at it as well. I told people, man, like when I got on the Contender Series last year, I'm like, man, this is fast. Like that. My entire journey was quick. Like I fought my pro debut. By the end of the year, I was fighting the second time on Icon against a very seasoned, experienced opponent, Ivan Batnich, and that was my first year as a professional. Then the next year, literally fought Caleb Crump, and I fought LJ Porte, and then I'm on the Contender Series. And I'm saying like, man, this stuff is going by quick, and it was. The whole process was going by quick, and I was just currently excelling. And I think now I feel like I am on that level, but a lot of people have to recognize that I am very young in this game, and that there's a lot more things that I still have to learn to attest to. I try to treat myself like a professional, and I definitely do the best that I possibly can to feel like I am experienced. Going into this upcoming fight against Tyson Jeffries, he's much more experienced than me. But I feel like, now those 7 fights that I've already had professionally, like I feel like I have a really good experience now walking into the cage. Like I told people when I went in on the Contender Series, I did not feel. That was actually the first time ever in a fight that I was ever not nervous, and I was nervous that I wasn't nervous. It's crazy. Like I couldn't get my nerves going. Like I don't know, man. It was like I was just there, and I was like, oh man, I'm ready. I was ready, but I was like, man, like either I'm super pumped or I'm ready to just smash. And I felt great, man. I felt great. So um, yeah, I do understand the fact that I am young in the game, and there's not, a lot of people don't get the opportunities that I got so fast already. But that's the thing about me. My entire goal in this entire journey has been to continue to just get better each and every day. And as many times as I can try to get as many fights as possible. That's why I wanted to fight. I wanted this fight. I want to get as many fights as possible. People don't understand that. Like I'm trying to rack them up. I want to by the end of my career, I want to say I at least had at least like over 40 to 50 professional fights. I want to rack them up, and to have these limited layoffs, I don't necessarily like them. I try my goal every year is to try to get at least 3 fights a year. So even though we started a little bit later than usual, but we can still get on track for that.
Now, in your fight against Yuri in the Contender Series, did you make an adjustment? Was there something said maybe in the corner in between rounds 1 and 2?
Yes, my coach Matt Harris, he made a really good adjustment in the corner. He initially just reiterated the game plan I had going in. Obviously the first round, I went in there very wrestle heavy mode. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Like when I felt his hips, I was like, all I gotta do is get on top. I was like, okay, all I gotta do is get on top. I'm gonna win this. But I was trying to force something that wasn't there yet. And because of that, it caused me to get hit a little bit. And coming back and going into that second round, my coach said he set it up with utilizing the strikes, which was obviously the plan, which should be the plan against anybody. But obviously set it up with using strikes. Because there'll be a few times early in my pro career, again, this would be learning with experience. I would just go in there and take you down off the bat, and they wouldn't get up and I'll finish in the first round. I would do that. Now, got to continue to progress yourself. People know how you're going in. We have this amount of fights, people are going to learn more about you. So you have to start also game planning for your own self on how people will potentially fight you. So that was the learning point. But going into that second round, it just me following the game plan that we initially had. And like Coach Matt Harris said, set it up with the strikes. Went in there, set it up with my hands, got the takedown, and, got the rear naked choke, man. And it felt great, man. That was a great moment. Huge fight in my career, but that's just the beginning. We got a lot more big fights to go.
In that moment, did you feel like you did enough to get the contract?
Yes, personally, yes. Dana White talks a lot about people overcoming adversity, and I think I did. Obviously, I lost the first round. That was the first round I ever lost in my career, and I lost that first round. And going into that second round, I was like, "We got to go." And heck, if you just look at the second round, it's like, oh, he looked like a whole much better complete fighter. Utilize my hands, got the takedown, ground and pound, straight to the submission. So I got a chance to utilize a whole lot of things. But I definitely understand. I'm not mad at what he said, because I always tell people I don't go in there. I never was going on the show to impress per se. I'm going on there to win and dominate. And the way I win and dominate, you will definitely be impressed. And I thought, and again, I didn't have my best performance. So that was the thing about that one. If I had my best performance, I felt like I would have had a contract, but I necessarily didn't have my best performance. Yes, it was a great fight, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't my best performance, and I can definitely understand why he didn't give it to me. But I don't mule on that a lot. I don't just think about that like, oh man, I wish you would have gave me. No, I just, okay, no problem, go back to the drawing board, continue to get better. um, you have to continue to keep fighting every single day. I use it as a more of a motivation thing. You doubt me, okay, I'm going to continue to prove myself right. I don't no longer look to prove anybody else wrong. I just want to prove myself right. And me proving myself right is me meaning, like, I said I was going to fight in MMA, and I belong in this game. And I know for a fact that I deserve to be in the UFC, and one day I will. So, we're just going to keep grinding until that day comes, and it will happen. I guarantee it.
When you look at you, you're a very complete, well-rounded mixed martial artist, but the wrestling is on a whole new level. And if anyone who knows you, they knew you were a force to reckon with in high school. You had people lining up outside the Macon Coliseum just to watch you wrestle and win state championships. What is it about wrestling? Did you just take it to it at a very young age? You just love it from first sight?
Man, it's so funny, dude. Like, it's all. That's why I say, man. God has a way for our life, man. And it's always been a blessing for me to even find wrestling. I would have never wrestled ever if it wasn't for me not making the basketball team, which I wasn't that great at, and me not making the baseball team. All my friends and cousins, they had other sports they could play. I'm a football player at heart. After football, they had other sports. Me, I had nothing. I had to just go back home to grandma's house, which I did love grandma's house. Grandma can cook really well, but I'll have to go back home to grandma's house, and I didn't have nothing else to do. So I never forget. And plus, I was a big professional wrestling fan. I love the WWE, and going into the when they made the announcement on the intercom that, hey, anybody want to participate in wrestling this year, come to the front office. And I'm going, and my coach Crook, he was there, and he was like, all right, if anybody think this is professional wrestling, WWE, y'all can leave now. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was literally about to leave, because that's the first thing I thought it was. And everybody was like, no, don't leave yet, don't leave yet. One of my friends told me not to leave yet. I was like, all right, I'll see. And man, it's been a blessing ever since. It's been a blessing ever since. And that's the same thing how I found MMA in a way. It's like I was playing football, COVID hit, looking for something else, man. I was like, I want to try something else. I had nothing against it. I had started boxing a little bit, and then somebody told me, man, you should try MMA with your wrestling background and you doing a little bit of boxing. I think you'd match. Really didn't know much about MMA. Went out and tried it. Found the rest is history, and I'll never forget when I found the go combative. So these type of things for me is like, yes, my wrestling definitely was utilized at a very young age. I've been wrestling ever since seventh grade. So and then I wrestled a little bit in college as well. And, obviously, like I said, two-time state champion in high school, 40-0 senior year, went to nationals, placed ninth. So I've had a really extensive wrestling journey, and I always tell people, man, it's definitely my heart. Every time I would leave wrestling, I would come back and say, I got to do it. It's just in my heart, man. I love it. I love it.
You touched upon it, but I really think you're destined to be in the world of mixed martial arts. I mean, after winning the state titles, you chose to play football in college, did a whole total 180 on everybody, but found your way. And I think one of the stories you talked about before, your first ever fight, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was you practiced football in the morning, drove out to Knoxville or somewhere and fight with like the only two people even knowing you're doing it.
Yes, that is so true, man. Because I did my best to try. Everybody man, I tried my best to like hold that in that I wasn't gonna fight. And the moment that poster came out, oh my goodness, my family, my grandma, my mom, dude, they calling me. They're like, "What are you doing?" You know, like it just wasn't something at that time, man. They did not think I should be fighting. And yes, I had a football scrimmage. We had played over about 60 to 70 plays, man. And at the end of that scrimmage, our Coach Wright, he got mad at us. So he made us run 12 100-yard sprints. And I was about to gas. And one of my teammates, Devontae Maxwell, he actually plays on the Bengals now. He was like, "Hey, Finney, um, if you need us to vouch for you, we know you got to fight." And I was like, "No, I don't know what would be worse, me in this fight or me having to deal with Coach Wright." Coach Wright, he gets on you, man. But I did the whole thing, man, and went out to Knoxville. And I will say I slept all the way there. My coach drove me. I slept all the way there, and I was tired, boy. Boy, was a boy tired. And I said, "All right, we're gonna do this." Because I would practice football and train MMA later that day as well, throughout that process leading up to that fight. So I still had but it's a little different for an actual fight. I was back in the back yawning, but I warmed up. I did the thing, trying to sweat. I gotta get this guy out quick. And boy, did I go in there and do that. I was able to go in there and get him out of there 11 seconds. So
One of the problems that you've run into is the fact that people don't want to fight you. Sometimes it's hard for you to find fights. And I think another great story of yours, you fought at heavyweight and you had to wear some extra assistance just to make the weight.
I did, because Tennessee had came out with a new rule that they finally had a. It's funny, that year 2023, last year, they had a cruiserweight. So a cruiserweight, well, actually 2022, but yeah, they have a cruiserweight now. So cruiserweight is 225, and that's in the state of Tennessee. So that means you're skipping two weight classes. You can't skip two weight classes. You have to at least weigh the next one. That's the rule. So because of that, obviously I fight at 185. So I easily could have fought at 205, but the guy I'm fighting was at heavyweight. We couldn't find anybody, and the best one we could find was the heavyweight. And I was like, "Go ahead, I ain't got no problem. Let's go." And they said, "Well, you have to weigh at least 225 to get on." So I put on a weight vest with a jacket, stepped on the scale, weighed 227, 226, 227. I think it's 228 actually. Yeah, 228. And I actually walked in a cage around probably like 211, 212. So
Did any of the commission or anyone know that you had the vest on under the jacket?
no, they did not. I know they did not, man. I couldn't let it happen, man. I was like, dude, I need again. I had fought in February, and I was like, I was not gonna wait. We was already in talks with Icon about the August fight. So it would been from February to August, and I didn't want to wait no more. I said, I gotta get something. So we fought in June, and then obviously that's when I fought the first time on Icon.
So when I first really started deciding that I wanted to do this and start interviewing fighters, follow the fight game, was the first Icon card that you were on in Savannah. I forgot who. I think is that when you fought Brandon Moran. I want to say.
No, no, no. I fought Brandon Moran was on the card, but no, I fought Justin Dorsey.
You fought Justin Dorsey, and I just went as a fan, and just seeing all that kind of for me, what made me want to get into it, and then obviously pick up a big win. Worked in it at a media capacity for the next one. I think it was like in November or October, a couple months after that. Another great win. That promotion, people from starting to see on that, you really see you take off. Maybe your stock rise a little bit. What do you think the whole Jorge Masvidal Dean Tool combo? How did that help your career?
They helped my career a lot, man. I got a good relationship with both of them. I actually went to the Game Brand Knuckle when it was actually in Jacksonville. Ironically, I was there when Junior Dos Santos fought Fabricio Rodum. So I was there for that, and got a chance to talk with them a little bit. And I told them thank you, because it did help push my career up. They did. Me fighting on both of those Icon shows back to back to back. Heck, at that point, Jorge made a good point. Icon is known for having some good middleweights, it seems. They had Bo Nickel, they had SD Dumas, and now they got me. And we just racking them off back to back to back. But that show really did help me out a lot. From fighting on UFC Fight Pass, then two, get a chance to fight in my hometown. Well, not as a hometown, but home state, Savannah, and going. People from Macon would just drive 2.5, 3 hours all the way to Savannah and just be a quick drive. And I would sell a lot of tickets and it would be fun, man. I enjoyed both of those cars, the setups, the whole thing, the whole 9 yards, man. I enjoyed, especially that first one, but man, I really enjoyed those cars, man. So I definitely be hitting up Dean, throughout the time. Like, hey, man, anytime I get on a car, you already know, hit me up.
I think as we progress here the next 2 or 3 years, I think a lot of people are going to look back at that first icon card that you fought at. I brag about a couple of you guys who I think are going to be the next big thing. And there were 3 names from that first card that I will put money on. I just have a very good feeling we'll make a big name in the UFC. And that's you, that's Eli Barzilai, and that's Malcolm Wellmaker. I mean, all three of you guys are remaining undefeated, all looking like huge prospects. I'm sure Malcolm is close to going the contender and being in that capacity as well. What is it like to go on this journey and be able to fight alongside other guys that are going to make it to the next level with you?
Yeah, man, it's really cool to be with other prospects, man. I get a chance to talk with them. Sometimes I go and cross train, and it's been really cool, man. Be able to see the whole journey with a lot of these guys. It's just been phenomenal, and I also stay in tune with their journey as well. I went to Malcolm Wellmaker's last fight. Uh, I definitely keep up with some of the guys on the regional scene a lot, man. And I'm not a guy necessarily that go around looking for beef. I don't do that. Again, I treat this. I'm a martial artist, and I treat this like a sport, professional sport. Yes, when it's time to go, it's time to go. Now, if you say something to me, I definitely will not hold my tongue. But I don't go around looking for beef, man. I definitely support everybody, man. Any person that there is, I support you. Especially guys that are fighting alongside me, trying to get up to make the same journey I'm trying to make and be on the same dream. This is not an easy one. And to be the best that you can possibly be at it, you got to grind every day. And I know a lot of these guys that are grinding all the time, every day. So definitely a lot of respect to those guys.
What's the sacrifice like, man? Obviously, the money in this and where you're currently at, I mean, you're not making hundreds of $1,000s fighting yet. You have to train. You train almost every single day, if not every single day, getting punched in the face constantly. What motivates you? What gets you through it?
Reiterating back to what I was saying I really love this sport. I really do, man. I love this sport with all my heart, and I thank the Lord for allowing me to blessing me to find this. I tell people, sometimes when you find your calling, man, dude, literally right after that first fight, and especially after I won my first Emmy title, I was like, this is it. This is what I was meant to do. And I love this sport, man. This is so fun. It never feels like a job or I gotta do it. It never feels like when the moment feels like that, you don't need to be doing it. For me, it feels like I'm here. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's train. Yes, some days you're tired. Yes, some days you're sore. But man, I push through it. And then once you get going, it's time to go. You actually don't want to stop almost, and I love this, man. I really do.
All right, let's get into it. Combat Night on Saturday, taking on Tyson Jeffries. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent? Guy with some experience here.
Yeah, Tyson is very experienced. He's very, he does a lot of Muay Thai. He definitely has a grappling background. He does, obviously, I see he has a lot of submission wins. I've seen some of his fights, even some of his fights back in the day, man. He definitely does a lot of jiu-jitsu. So he's a guy that definitely poses a threat a lot of different ways, jack of all trades. So it's definitely a very interesting fight, and it'll be interesting to see somebody try to bring the grappling to me. I fought a few guys that are very grapple heavy, like Batnich a little bit, or Caleb Crump, but it'll be interesting to see another one, bring a different dynamic to the game. But I'm excited, I'm really excited, and I feel like my game is just as equally as good as his, or if not better. And I feel overall that I'm a more complete fighter than I was. These 6 months off have actually been being me 6 months improvement. I've been having an opportunity to go out to Denver, train with Dwayne Lutwick. It's been a blessing to be able to train with him and some of those guys at Team Elevation, obviously in Denver. So I've had an opportunity to train with a lot of high level guys and learn from a lot of high level guys. And I think a lot of that stuff will show going into this fight.
Were you able to train at all with Curtis Blades or Gaethje or any of those boys?
Yes, I was able to do some wrestling things with them. Didn't get a chance to really go live with Blaze because Blaze had his Jalton Almeida fight coming up, but I got a chance to train with a lot of those guys within there. Got a chance to train and spar with Neil Magny. Got a chance to talk with Gaethje and see him spar. It was fun watching him and Corey Sanhagen go at it, and and see all those guys. So it was fun, man. It was fun to be in that room and get a chance to learn from a lot of knowledgeable guys, high level guys.
Now, with the win over Jeffries, where do you think? I mean, maybe you don't want to look ahead here, which is totally understandable. But with a win over Jeffries, do you think that gets you closer to maybe getting back into the UFC or getting to the point where maybe you get a short notice fight or something?
Yes, we've definitely been in talks a lot already. But yes, but that none of that stuff matters unless I don't get past Jeffries. That's the main thing. Um, this Saturday is the only thing that matters, and meaning that means I got to go in there and beat him and handle business and do it decisively. That's my goal. At the end of the day, and anything that happens after that, hey, it's not up to my control because what happens in the cage is to my control. That's the same thing. That's the same model I had going into the Contender Series. You go in there, you handle business. What is up to your control will determine the outcome. And again, I went in there and won. I can determine the outcome on whether someone want to give me something or not. So I don't have that mindset necessarily going in looking past him. I have my mindset going in, making sure I handle business and handle it accordingly, and everything else after the outcome will follow.
No, you and your Ogogi team has really made a name for themselves. Obviously, your buddy Trevor Peak in the UFC put on some great performances. What is it like training? You guys really seem like a family. You could really tell from the outside looking in, there's a family type atmosphere. Is that the case? And does that really help in training?
Yes, it has, man. Look, man, the gym here that these people have put on, that's the reason why I love this gym. This is the reason why I'm here. Matt Harris, Sterling Peace, Larry Scott, John Green, and Mike Griffin. There's a lot of guys, a lot of instructors here that are allow this place to really be what it is, and I'm so thankful. Stacy Meeks, I'm so thankful for guys like them to the guys that, they invite in a way. It's not necessarily like, oh, I'm going to get this guy, but the the camaraderie that this place has, man, is so phenomenal. You really can't get. There's only so many gyms that you find like this, man. And I've cross trained at a lot of places. There's only a few very similar, but man, this gym is so much love and care for everybody. Everybody supporting everybody. Like heck, when I fought in Contender or when Trevor fought in Contender, we know when they're showing the camera to your fans watching, man, that's this whole gym is packed for both of us, and and it's always packed for all of us. Like anytime we're tuning in fights, a jiu-jitsu match, I mean, it don't matter. We all supporting. So the camaraderie here, and it's a big gym. It has over 500 members. So it's not like it's like 50 or 60 guys. There's over 500 members. So, and these people, we all know each other's names. We talk to each other with the kids and the family. And it's not like it's a just in gym thing. It's a thing that we do outside. We go on places to eat, or we go places to vacation, just small things like that. And I feel like I found a lot of really close friends here, man. And I really love this gym with my heart for real. So I'm very thankful for a lot of people here.
What has it been like being close with Trevor Peak? I mean, you go to all of his fights. Do you think that's helped you maybe get kind of an idea of what's to come in the future for you?
Oh, for sure. Yes. For sure. I've enjoyed the whole journey with Trevor. I didn't get on this journey with Trevor until his fourth professional fight. I had watched some of his other professional fights already. I went there in person in Alabama to see him fight. But along being on the journey with him has been phenomenal. He has definitely progressed. He will only continue to get better. He just signed his new deal with the UFC, so it's been a blessing to see his journey as well. Especially with his background, where he's come from. So it's been great. And then also, we help each other. Like I always tell people, man, it's like Trevor will fight. Trevor will fight anybody. Hey, dude, there was a time Trevor sparred with Marvin Vettori. He had nobody else to spar. So he sparred Marvin Vettori, and he's throwing 100,000 miles. Like Trevor is so much of a dog. It's crazy. And we have a lot of great rounds in here, man. A lot of good dog rounds. And I tell people, man, there's not many people I know that are more of a dog than Trevor. So, if me and Trevor go at it, I know one thing. My opponent might not have that dog in him like Trevor got. It's a whole different animal. So, even though he's a smaller weight class, but I compare it a lot to how Usman talks about when he spars with Gaethje. Obviously, Usman fights at 170 and Gaethje fight at 55, but he's like, man, nobody hits like Gaethje. Nobody goes at you like Gaethje. So I feel like in my way, personally, Trevor's like my Gaethje, like he's that guy that I can go with. And it's like not many people have that dog in them like him. And I have that dog in me too. See, the thing is, a lot of people don't understand. They haven't necessarily seen it being brought out. I felt like you saw a little bit get brought out when I had to deal with some adversity. Like, I feel like that's a part of being a dog. You have to, when things rough and tough, you can't always be successful when things are going good. You got to learn to be successful when things are also not going your way. How do you win when things are going a completely other direction? And that's also part of being that, having that dog mentality. And I definitely think that's one thing about this gym, man. You better be gritty when you come train here. You better be gritty when you come in when you come here and train, man, because we got a lot of dogs. They might not be as skillful just yet, but they sure enough got a dog in them. So you want to fight and bite and claw to get out on top.
In addition to fighting, we see you do a lot of things more of the social capacity. You have your podcast, do a lot of stuff with millions. You have a YouTube channel. I was checking out first interview, some pretty cool content on there. Do you feel like it's important to also have a social side and continue to be involved in more than just fighting in the cage?
Yes, 100%. Let me tell you something. I at a time, I'm being honest, just about last year, which is crazy. At the beginning of life, I could care less about social media, and that's just the way I was, man. I really I had social media. I had all of them. Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I had all of it, obviously, but I didn't care much about it. I didn't care much about half of that stuff. But I did recognize that is a huge piece alone to the puzzle to being an MMA fighter. It's not just your skill set. It's about what eyes are set on your skill sets. And that allows you to bring in things more financially. That allows you to get more opportunities. So it's huge into this, and especially in today's time, man. Social media is about king, man. You can't just have a business and be like, okay, what my product does is going to work. Now you got to have a business with social media, with people out there promoting your business, you promoting your business. And my body is a business, man. My fight game is a business. So I have to go out there and promote it as much as possible. And that's the part of the social media thing where I'm definitely continue to learn and grow. We got some guys here now that's really helping with social media, as you see on my YouTube channel, and things of that nature. So we're definitely growing on that in a lot of different ways. But yeah, it's just the start, and we should be doing a lot more.
So while I have you on here, we got to talk a little WWE. I know you're a huge wrestler yourself. Do you think the story, do you like how it ended?
Let me tell you something. I actually was rooting for Roman Reigns, but it made me mad. Last year at WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes, I said, there's no way that Cody Rhodes lose. The story was already perfect. He lost. And I was like, what is the bitch for? I was mad because I was like, how you don't let Cody win? Now, the fact they let him win the next year, he won the next year. For a moment, I was like, man, just let Reigns go ahead and. I know Hulk Hogan record isn't as, I know it'll be third all time, but I'm like, man, let him go and knock out Hulk Hogan record. We know what type of figure Hulk Hogan is in the WWE, obviously in all of wrestling. All he had to do was make it to, I think next year's SummerSlam or something like that. No. I think towards the end of the year almost to eclipse that record. And I was like, man, let him do it. But I wasn't against Cody Rhodes finishing the story at all. I really enjoyed that, man. That WrestleMania was so lit, especially that match. All the pops and comebacks and all the guys that had going in. I was like a kid, man. That was so fun. So yeah, man, that definitely brought the kid back in me for sure.
When you watch that, you say, okay, now Cody has the belt, but the final boss, Mr. Dwayne the Jet Rock Johnson, he's still in there. Where are you thinking what's going to happen next here? Dwayne and Roman, it's got to happen at some point, right?
So this is my prediction. So I think Roman, Rhodes, and Rock will be at SummerSlam. All right. Then it's hard for me to see them have. It's hard for me to see them have Rhodes lose the Rock, but I don't know. So I think he beats Rock. I wouldn't be surprised if Roman Reigns interferes, causes some things, or see, actually take that back. Now you got me. Yo, you over here got me as a match pick, a script writer. So this is what I think might happen. Rock wins at SummerSlam. Boom. They fight probably at Royal Rumble, or they fight at maybe Survivor Series, one of the next bigger pay-per-views. Then Rock's defend his title against Cody Rhodes. Roman Reigns interferes and costs Rock the title. Said, I'm still at the head of the table. You don't deserve that title. That should have been mine. Boom. WrestleMania, Rock versus Roman. Have Cody Rhodes defend the title on day 1, Rock versus Roman on day 2. Boom.
That is quite the prediction. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. But, speaking of The Rock, not going to tie The Rock back into you. If anyone watches, you know exactly where I'm going with this. If anyone watches your fight, I think the performance is great. But what you do after the fight, if you could smell what the Torrez is cooking, I mean, is that kind of your way to honor Dwayne? I mean, obviously, you took it from him, right?
Yeah, for sure. Look, the thing is like, I used to do that all the time in football. Football and in the locker room. I would do it in college. I'm like, if you can smell, I would do it all the time. And one of my friends told me, he said, I was fighting for my first amateur title, my second Emmy fight. And he was like, man, you should do that after the fight. And I was like, you know what? I might do it. I might do it. And I did my little whole promo thing and talking and thanking everybody. But then after, I said, I got one more thing. I've been wanting to do this all my life because I had a mic, I had a belt. Dude, we used to do that when I was on the trampoline with my cousins. So that's why I know this is meant for me, man. When I get a chance to do the things that I was doing as a kid, I know that I'm not doing professional wrestling. I know I'm doing actual fighting, but man, we used to have the toy mic. I would have the belt. And like, I'm doing the promo after the match we would do on the trampoline. And that was just a kid that was brought back inside of me, man. So I said, I'm going to do it after every fight I win for sure. And I do. If you can smell what Torrez is cooking, I had to change it up. Because at first when I had the belt, I was like, if you can smell what the champ is cooking, but I ain't got a belt right now. But as time go on, yes, if you can smell what Torrez is cooking, it will continue to, for sure, after every single fight.
All right, Torrez, last question for you. In a perfect world, what goes down Saturday when you take on Tyson Jeffries?
Perfect. We're always saying, man, I never make predictions, but the one thing I will guarantee, at the end of the day, at the end of that fight, my hand will be raised and I will be victorious. That's all. That's 100% I will guarantee. Everything else is, however the finish comes, whether it comes by knockout, submission, decision, I'm going in there to finish. I go in there to finish at all points of the fight. There's never a point when I'm in there trying to cruise control. I'm trying to finish. So I'm trying to get him out of there as quick as possible personally. But at the end of the day, my hand will be raised.
All right, Torrez, thank you for jumping on here today, my man. Great catching up and wishing nothing but the best of luck Saturday. And I should be there. Hopefully I see you. I mean, we're cursed. It's in Jacksonville, too. We were like sections beside each other at the UFC. I was 10 feet from you at bare knuckle and found out the next day. Maybe we'll see each other this time.
Yeah, let's do it. We for sure. You come hit me up. We will for sure see each other.
Well, that's Torrez Finney. I'm Carl Prusa. And if you could smell
what Torrez is cooking. Let's go, baby.